Okay, now we're going to talk about the second group, in which is the 4%. Okay, so 4% of the people that actually go into a business of their own, self-employed business, out of the whole of the 3 billion, only 4%, like I explained, actually go into a business of their own, which is about roughly about 120 million people. This is in the whole world. Now, this 4%, that's what the subject is all about. Why is it that 95% of the businesses fail? That's the small businesses and new startups within the first 5 years. Now, this 95% failure is in these 4%. They're the ones that go in for a business for themselves. So we are going to talk about what causes the failure of these self-employed businesses. As we discussed in the global statistics earlier on, the 7 billion people in the world, only 3 billion are working class, and then 96% to work for somebody else. Most of that talk was based on the 96% as to why they choose never to go into a business of their own. Now we want to concentrate on the 4%. Now, coming back to why the 4% why the 4% 4% of the people, why 95% of the people fail in this group, are the same reasons that the 96 use for not going into a business. This 4% have the same problems. One, they don't know. They don't believe in themselves. They don't know what are the required skills that they need to master. The methods that have been tried and tested to work in businesses, they don't know about them. The principles that they must follow and employ, all this stuff, like I explained before, has been tried and tested, and they don't know about these things. So not knowing about them, of course, how do you use something that you don't know about? And then the first problem was that they don't actually have a belief in it. They don't have enough belief in themselves. They got out of the 96% group because they were just fed up working for somebody else, not because they knew how to do their own business and make a success of it. That's why you see 95% of the businesses fail around the world, because they simply don't believe in themselves. They don't know what it needs to make their businesses a success. And what to make the problem worse, like I said earlier on, is that some of them actually believe that they do know. So now let's elaborate more on why do they believe, that I need to do my own business. Why do they go there? Firstly, they're really fed up with where they are. They don't want to work for nobody else. They don't want to be told what to do anymore. They're sick and tired of it. They've done it, and they learned that this is not where I want to be. So that causes them to leave the 96% group and come into the 4% group. But that doesn't give them the God-given right to be a success and be successful just because they've left that group. So the second reason why they want to do it is that they work for somebody else, and they say, well, hang on a minute. If I can cook for you in your restaurant, I can cook for me in my restaurant. If I can cut hair in your shop, hair salon, I can cut hair in my own salon. If I can work in your dentistry and make you money, I can make money for me. I don't see that what is it that you do that I can't do for myself. So that's another reason they come into a business of their own. Third reason is that they've always wanted to have a business of their own. It's one of those things. I want to have a business of my own. Or friends just encourage them to sometimes say, okay, like we want to team up together and let's start up our own little shop. But when was the last? Let me explain something. When was the last time you heard somebody say to you, "Oh, I went to college today, and I'm doing a 6 months course, and the course is about I know how to cut hair. I've been working in a hair salon for the last 7 years, and I know how to cut hair. I know how to practically do that. But I'm actually going to college to learn what are the what are the different skills I need to know, steps I need to learn, methods I need to use, principles I need to employ in my hair salon that would bring me customers, endless supply of customers into my business, that there's no shortage of customers that will pay me what I want to charge them. That's where I'm going to go. When was the last time you heard that? Never. People just think, I've got my degree, I worked in a place, and that's good enough. That's not enough for me to go to the marketplace and ask the market that, here you go, here's my degree, and I've got 6 years of working experience by cutting hair, or being in a dentist, or being a chef or a waitress, working in a motor mechanic shop, repairing laptops, or whatever you're trying to do. There you go. Market, I want you now to give me my God-given right to make a success of my own business. Market doesn't care. The market doesn't care what color shoes you wear. The market doesn't care where you want to live. The market doesn't care what your dreams are. What the market does care about is, do you have a product that is needed, and have you worked out how to deliver this product that is needed to the people you're trying to deliver it to above the competition? Another way of saying the same thing, what the market is saying to this person is, whatever you are doing, somebody else is already doing it. So why should I give you a chance? There are 50,000 people cutting hair. There are 20,000 people fitting central heating systems. There are 10,000 roofers, 5,000 plasterers, 20,000 restaurants, 15,000 shops where they do MOTs, mechanic shops. The market says, tell me, why do I need to give you the opportunity to make a success of your business? See? So the market wants, what have you got the people ain't got, and you're giving it to them in a way that nobody else is. That's what the market's on about. And that's what we're going to talk about on this website. So now we've discussed as to what causes their failure. Again, not knowing, coming into the marketplace and expecting to make a success. Out of this 4%, like we said, is about 120 million. In this group of 120 million, is broken into 4 further categories. Firstly, 80% of this group, that's 80% of the businesses that are self-employed, new startups and small businesses, they struggle their entire life until they just go bankrupt. Or the owners of these businesses just say, enough is enough, I want to go back to my old ways. Or they're just happy with, as long as I don't have to work for somebody else, I'm making the same as what I was making for working for somebody else, I'll work for myself. That's the maximum level they get to, the 80%. They make the same money as they were making before. They got a little bit more freedom, a little bit better control of their life, but that's about it. 80% of them just get their head above water and struggle their entire life. And some of them just give up and say, enough's enough. So some people go back to their old jobs, and then new people come into this sector of 80%. So that's how the average 80% just keeps floating around in a circle, just carrying on. Or I know that working for someone else is too painful. I'd rather work for myself and make the same as what I was making before. I'll be happy with it. I can't do. And the reason why they've gone down this road is because they were sick and tired of working for somebody else. They can't handle that no more. So you just stick to this. 80% of them just carry on doing what they're doing, as long as they're making ends meet, paying the bills, keeping their head above water, earning the same money as before, maybe a little bit more, a little bit extra freedom. But the fact that going back is more painful is stopping them from going back. So 80% of them struggle or go out of business. My point of failure is that they don't get to the point of living a life of their dream. So if a business is not able to do that, they failed. So when I say 95% of the businesses fail within the first 5 years, I'm talking about all businesses that cannot get past the level where of struggle. A successful business is a business where you're able to pay your bills, you've got plenty of money in your account, the business is running really fairly smoothly, you're having plenty of holidays, you got very reasonable good control of your life, you've got most of what you want to do in your life. That's a fairly reasonably successful business. I would now put them in the top 20%, but the 80% will never get there. So coming back to the percentages again, so the first group is 80%, they struggle most of their lives. Then you come to 15%. 15% of this group, of the 4% of the businesses that people go into the self-employment business, 15% of these 120 million people, they do well. They do reasonably well. They make good money, maybe 4 or 5 times more than what they were making before. They got their nice house, nice car, a couple of holidays a year, so they're doing reasonably well, heads above water, business is going somewhere, is somewhere between 40 to 70% towards where they want this business to be. So that's the 15%. They really put hard work into it, go out, learn a few things here and there, and carry on, improvise here and there, and just move this business out of the 80% group into the 15%, where the business is now doing really well. They got a nice car, nice house, have a few holidays, extra money around, don't work as hard as before, and definitely making 5, 6, 7 times, maybe 10 times more than what they were making by working for somebody else. And it's taken them probably about 4 to 5 years to get the business to that stage from the time they started. So that I would put into a reasonably successful a business. But that hasn't saved them from bankruptcy. That hasn't saved them from being able to go back to the 80% group or even back to working for somebody else. They're not out of the danger yet. There's something can happen in the market, in the economy. They still haven't learned all the tricks that you're going to learn in the 5% or the 1% group. They're still not doing what it takes for the business to be bankruptcy proof. A business that is bulletproof, nothing can touch this business. It's solid, no recession can touch it, no interest rates going up and down, economy going up and down, none of that can touch this business. They have not in that group yet. We're going to talk about that next. So that's the 15%. Now we come to the 5%. 5% of the people in this group of 120 million people that actually go into businesses themselves, they do really, really, really well. These businesses, you'll find they got a house of their dream, holidays of their dream, life of their dream. They live how they want. They work a couple of hours, so a couple of days a week, keep an eye on the business, and they're in a millionaire status basically. The business is proof. Blueprints are there. Everything is in order. Business is being run professionally, so they're not short of a few pennies. They're well established, way out of the danger zone of bankruptcy. Economy doesn't bother them. They are set. Their lifestyle is set, and they're protected. But to get into the 5% group, how did they get there? We will talk about that in the next audio, but I'm just going to the percentages at the moment. So they're okay. These people are working on what is known as a blueprint. I'll explain the blueprint to you a bit later. They're working on a blueprint on their business. They've gone out and they've said, no. I want my business to be better than the 80%. And I want my business to be better than the 15%. I want to be in the top 5%. Now, they've gone and done what the 80% and the 15% are not willing to do to get to the 5% group. Of course, it's going to take time and to get to this position, but that's what they've done. So that's what these people are. Now we're going to come down to the top 1%. The top 1% of the businesses in the world are extremely, extremely, extremely successful. They've been going for 15, 20, 30 years. They do things differently. They're the ones that come into the world and change the way the things work. Like you got Microsoft, you got McDonald's, things like that. See, so these people are like that Bill Gates guy, so Steve Jobs. They come up with the one-off lifetime things that changes the things the way the worlds are. They make not millions, but they make billions. That's the top 1%, how they do things. And so that's how this makeup is made up. Okay, so out of all the people in the world, but the 1%, remember, is that they do things differently. They do things way differently to the 80%, to the 15%, and even to the 5%. I'll give you examples of these groups as how they behave, how they get into these high level percentages. So that's now bringing me to the end of the explanation of the 4 group. And next talk we are going to do will be to do with explaining what is it that this 80% need to do to move into 15%. What is it the 15% need to do to move into the 5%? What is it the 5% need to do to move into the 1%? And that brings me to finding out what is it that the 1% know that the 5, 15, and 80% don't know. What is it that the 1% do that the 5%, the 15%, and the 80% don't do or don't want to do? See? If you haven't got the mentality of the top 1%, trust me, you will not get out the 80%. You must have employ some of the mentality of the top 1% to get out of the 80%. So it depends how much of their mentality you employ to further yourself into out of the 80%. So if you, for example, take on 80% of the mentality of the 1%, that'll bring you into the 15%. If you take on 95% of the mentality of the 1%, then that'll bring you into the 5%. If you bring on the 100% mentality that the 1% use, that'll bring you into the 1%. So we'll talk to you. We'll take on a couple of business models, and we'll talk to you as to how you travel from 80% to 1%. What is it that this restaurant owner will use a model? We'll use a restaurant owner, and we'll use a central heating business or a building business. Somebody who does central heating, somebody who does roof installations, electrical work for properties, things like that.